Hello!
Hello.
We've played Gran Turismo for quite a while, haven't we?
I don't remember when I first got into it, but it was with Gran Turismo 4, and I believe that I was so interested in it when we played it together. I think it was a birthday present from you, I recall.
I mean, I can't remember, so...
Yeah, well, see, I have...
It actually in fact,
Yeah.
that sounds plausible, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've played Gran Turismo for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, shall we talk about what was the best parts of Gran Turismo? The Gran Turismo games we've played, which for you is 4, 5 and 6.
Yes.
And for me is 3, 4, concept, 5 prologue, 5 and 6, and HD, I guess technically if you want to get fancy about it, that was a thing, wasn't it? Right, top 10, let's go. Right, number 10.
So, my number 10 event is the European Hot Hatch Championship.
Why is that?
To me, it really comes down to when I consider the overall placement, that either the specific regulations for what cars can enter, or if it's something to do with the locations rather than the kind of races that it is. And really this just comes down to the idea of it being small European cars, because that, and I think that there's just something really cool about that, because a lot of the time we tend to think about European cars as the sports cars and the classic ones, not the smaller city faring ones. And so really that's what it would come down to for me with that.
It's a really common idea, you know, the European hot hatch, like the Golfs versus the Citroens. Actually, Citroen didn't really make a hot hatch in that era, did they? But
no.
Moving on.
Yes.
My number 10. Red Bull X Challenge from GT6.
Ooh.
The one with where Sebastian Vettel tells you how to drive a car that doesn't exist.
Yes.
I don't think it's possible, for me at least, to do it with a DualShock 3. You need to use a steering wheel to drive that car, because you need to be able to essentially turn the wheel 90 degrees to go around the corner as fast as possible, like instantly, because obviously you don't need to really brake, but you do need to be able to steer quick enough, and you can't steer quick enough even if you turn your sensitivity up to 10 on the controller. Anyway, right, number 9.
Yeah,
go.
My number 9 is 4WD Challenge.
The 4-wheel drive challenge.
Well, you can call it that, but on screen it says 4WD Challenge. And again, this just comes down to the car style. Because the thing about 4-wheel drives is that it's you can't really expect the kind of power sliding or Scandinavian flicking that you would get from a lot of other vehicles, so that you sort of have to control it as one single thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
to an extent.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
You get Scandinavian flicking in rally cars, because despite the 4-wheel drive, they're on dirt.
Exactly. Yeah.
But on tarmac, it's kind of a weird mix of the thing you get with a front-wheel drive car, where you get a load of oversteer sometimes, depending on how it's set up, and then the rear-wheel drive thing, where you have it's a bit less of that. But it's quite a fun championship, well, not championship, series, I guess, because they're all street cars that are 4-wheel drive.
Yes.
So you're looking at like Subarus, Mitsubishis. I'm hoping that these are actually the cars that are in this championship, and I'm not just bullshitting them. But I think this is right. Subarus, Mitsubishis, they might have thrown in a Skyline. That was 4-wheel drive.
The thing about driving 4-wheel drives is that they're kind of like driving rocks on wheels. They are, because because you sort of, you can't just expect to, okay, I'll just go at this corner and then I can just sort of correct myself as I go. You have to really plan out the trajectory of it.
Also, you could of course just cheese it, and if you get a that part that lets you change the adjustment of power to the front and back wheels and set it to like 90 rear, 10 front, then you've essentially just made yourself a rear wheel drive car.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not in the spirit of the competition, is it really? So my number 9 is Like the Wind.
Interesting.
And I've said on my list I've put GT6, but you could have, to be honest, you could have had Like the Wind from like GT5. GT4's one was a bit boring, as I recall, but Like the Wind is an interesting championship because it is all about going as fast as possible and making use of like the slipstream mechanics. Where it just brings back memories of, especially actually in the older games, where it would be that I was more of the sort of kid who would rather stick a load of parts onto a car and then try and win the race with that than actually getting the race car that probably should be competing. So I'd end up with like these souped up, I don't know what sort of cars I would have used back then, but probably something like a Skyline or something that's just got a load of like the biggest turbo stage you can put on and like nitrous and all of that, and trying to do a top speed run against essentially purpose-built Le Mans races. Number 8.
Yeah, number 8, the NA Sports Series.
Nah.
Yes.
NA is naturally aspirated, isn't it? But in some of the games it lets you enter a car. I think it would let you enter a car if that started out naturally aspirated, but you put a turbo on it, then you could still enter it, which was stupid.
Right. See.
Anyway, go on. Have I just ruined your what you were going to say about it, saying that it's North America?
No, but although I look at the entry requirements, I don't actually really think about what they mean. So, that is essentially it. You're probably right about that. So.
I feel like I've ruined what you were going to say. You were going to say something about North America, weren't you?
Well, maybe not.
Okay,
Maybe I was going to talk about them being naturally aspirated. Who knows? But you summed it up pretty well. Yeah.
Okay. You like naturally aspirated races. It's fine. Whatever. My number 8 is, and you might see this one coming. Actually, you probably won't see this one coming. Podrace. The Podrace from GT Concept.
Yes.
You remember the Podrace, right?
Yes. The one that they just threw in ironically to test the player's patience threshold.
The reason I put this on here is because of 2 reasons. Firstly, it's what that particular game was all about, was the concept from the Tokyo, Geneva auto shows. And obviously this is showcasing a car to an extent. It's showing the sort of interactions between the cars, but also it's quirky, it's fun, it's a bit out there as far as the series goes. It's sort of it's a bit strange. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do, but that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah,
I guess
it is highly unconventional, and the fact that they were just so daring to put something like that in, it's like, yeah, whatever. Whatever.
I feel like they were so daring because the game that they were putting it into was only about 2 hours long. Let's move on to number 7.
Number 7. I love number 7.
Go on.
Number 7 is Night Masters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a really good one actually. I've not put that on my list.
Fantastically good one.
I forgot about Night Masters.
You mean you didn't go back and play through the games and make notes?
I looked at the lists. Lists. I should have looked at FAQ guides actually. That was a really good idea that I had last minute. Go on,
anyway, because I'm doing nothing with my life and I have no responsibilities, I just spent the week playing through the games to refamiliarise myself and making notes. Anyway, so Night Masters. Really, with this, it's almost exclusively the visuals. Because even though Gran Turismo 6 is basically the same game as Gran Turismo 5, the visuals, they have been enhanced quite a bit, and I think that what they basically did with Night Masters was thought, okay, well, you know what's fun about driving? Driving at night. So why don't we create like a really mountainous, hilly track that just goes up and up and up, and so
with no lights on it.
Exactly. So that then it's just all natural lighting from the moon and from the stars, and then from the surrounding lights of the environment far away, and it's just so beautiful. And in a way, it's kind of like being in space. And I remember playing this the Night Masters event. And it starts off in the evening, and I thought, okay, this is quite an interesting thing they're doing, of having it with a day-night transition, and then eventually where the sun goes down and all the lights come up, and it was just mind-blowingly beautiful. It was just...
It looked very good. It still looks
it's very rare that I would talk about Gran Turismo in a visual level, but I think that it's one that I want to go back and play again a lot. So, like I say, I wouldn't usually talk about the visuals of the games, but that was one that was built around a visual concept that they did really beautifully.
My number 7. Manufacturer races, which is... Okay, this is not... I've cheated a bit here. But in this was a sort of Gran Turismo 4 thing that they didn't bring back in 5 and 6, and I can't remember if it was in 3. But essentially, you would go to the garages in Gran Turismo 4, and when you go to buy a car, you could. There'd also be manufacturer races, and these would be essentially a series of races which you could only compete in with specific models of cars. It was a really cool concept, because then the racing can be a lot tighter. You can you get to see all the different weird eccentric models that they put in the game, like, oh well, my Skyline's the N1 no version. My Skyline's Midnight Purple 2, well mine's Midnight Purple 3.
I remember playing a manufacturer race for the Toyota Prius. Yes. Prius. And and how I just sort of thought, pfft. So I bought the cheapest Prius, which was significantly slower. Because the problem was that it's really all about how much power they have, and that's it. Otherwise, you're screwed.
But it's a cool concept, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's something that actually happens in real life, unlike a significant proportion of these. Like, for example, in real life, I don't think I've ever seen a racing series which is street cars that are four-wheel drive. It's just not a thing. But there is things like, the one make racing series, as it's called, where you've got all Mazda MX5s and stuff like that. Number 6.
Number 6 is the Tuned Car Championship, which seems like it would be specifically for tuned cars, but it turns out you can actually enter anything.
I think it's more to do with what the cars you're racing against are. So they're as far as I recall, they are cars from the tuning garages. I don't think it cares if your car is from a tuning garage.
Well, it should.
The reason being, so you can take any car, slap a load of parts on it, and say, I tuned this myself. I think that's the idea.
Although, as it happens, I do enter with a tuned car.
Number 6, Rainmasters.
Okay.
You talked about Night Masters, which was at night. Rainmasters is in rain.
Yeah.
It provides a different challenge. It's a very distinctly different challenge as well, because it's all well and good saying, oh well, these are some tracks which are long, which is essentially like the wind. It's just a series of long tracks with fast cars. Well, Rainmasters is a series of tracks where it's always raining.
Yeah.
Or it's not, and the amount of rain is different. Well, it's not different, but it changes. Like, you might have to go from your intermediate tyres to your heavy wet tyres.
Utilising the pit feature.
And it just provides a different challenge. That's pretty much it. And I thought it was pretty cool when it was added, because, like, they did do the whole rain thing in Gran Turismo 4, I think, or was it 3, where there was like special stage route 5 wet, and it would be like really slidey, but that was like the only track that did that. But yeah, Rainmasters.
I do recall driving the Nürburgring in rain. But
I'm not sure why Rainmasters managed to get to number 6 on the list, actually. I think it's not that
I'll
good.
I'll tell you
actually,
something. It took me a significant amount of time to figure out that by pressing R3 you can make the wipers come on.
Yeah, that's it does help.
Yes,
having wipers.
yes.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Schwarzwald League A.
What? Oh, that's the German one?
Yeah.
Is that the German touring car championship? The essentially DTM, but they couldn't get the rights to DTM.
I don't believe it is. No, because I've tried the German touring car championship.
Oh yeah, this is the.
And I suck at it. I suck so hard at touring cars.
Were you driving a touring car, or were you driving a tuned car?
I was driving a touring car.
What car were you driving?
I was driving the. It was the 2012 Jeff.
Oh no, no! Is this you drove a NASCAR? Jeff, if a car has Jeff in the title, it's a NASCAR.
Yeah. All I know is it was eligible for the event.
It was eligible, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea. Sorry, I kind of derailed what you were going to say about the German.
I think that we have sort of provided a substantial discussion there.
Fine.
It's fine.
Okay. Number 5 for me. Ciara Time Rally from GT6.
The thing about the Ciara Time Rally is that it's the least Gran Turismo event in the series. If you think about it. Because it's basically just outrun.
Well, yeah, it is a bit weird. Yeah, I will give
as
you
I
that.
As I was playing Ciara Time Rally, going through like checkpoints, getting time extensions and stuff, and all I could think of was that time I played Outrun 2 at the arcade.
Right. Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
I don't, but yeah.
Like, that video that you said was funny.
Oh, very vaguely, yes.
Yeah, but it just has a really arbitrary progression structure.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Look, I needed 10 things to put on this list.
Yeah, although I do like that it's included in the game. Yeah.
Number 4
is Turbo Challenge.
Okay, interesting. Why?
Yeah. See, the thing about Turbo Challenge is that it's not just the requirements of having really, really fast cars in it, but also the way that the tracks they've selected are built around that. So that, for instance, you get the Rome circuit, which is mostly just a series of straights for the most part. So stuff like that. How it's okay. We'll just take cars with turbo so they can go really fast, and we'll just give them the best tracks where they can get loads of speed up.
What am I on number 4? Number 4 for me is Dream Car Championship. You're probably thinking, what do you mean?
Well, what do you think I was probably thinking?
I thought you were probably thinking, Chris, why would you pick that? Which I guess is what you were thinking.
Yeah,
to an extent.
yeah.
Well, when I was a kid and I saw Dream Car Championship on the little banner, and it says like, to quote, "Real imagination from the joy of driving to the thrill of victory," which is very cryptic. And when I read that as a kid, I was like, oh, they're dream cars, as in, you know, they're cars that you would dream to have, to own. But I now realise that dream cars referring to the fact that they're made up cars. They just fucking pulled them out their arse cars.
Are they?
Well, pretty much. Like, so, a lot of the cars that appear in Dream Car Championship are the things like, you know, Mazda RX-7 LM race car. They're saying LM race car, but it wouldn't actually perform well in like a Le Mans prototype sense. It's like I think it's those ones are supposed to be like JGTC cars. Pretty much every car in that championship is a race car that they made up in Gran Turismo. The only way of getting those cars, which appear in the championship, is by winning the championship. And these were really cool cars, because I used to be obsessed with like Subaru Imprezas, right?
Well, so did I.
Yeah, you know, I used to have the shirt.
Had a rally one.
I had the
You did
cap.
have the shirt. Yeah. Have you ever been in one?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh, well, I have.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dream Car Championship, championship full of actual cars they dreamt up, not cars that are dream cars of people, because that wouldn't make sense, because they're all like weird race cars, not
Right.
like Lamborghinis. Number 3.
Polyphony Digital Cup.
Okay.
See, the strange thing about the Polyphony Digital Cup is that it's very unspecific, where you would think, oh, well, it's got the developer's name in it, and yeah, it just does because it sort of has, and it's a good way to end the expert series, I thought, because it brought together a lot of the principles and skill level that you learned over the series up to that point to get to it.
Yeah, Polyphony Digital Cup. I'm just trying to remember what it actually involved.
Well, it's just a series of races with some cars in it, and it's got the developer's name in it to make it one that you remember more than the others, you see.
My number 3 is 24 Hours of Le Mans from GT5, because I think that's the one where it actually takes 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's 24 minutes of Le Mans in GT6, but that's not really the same thing. In fact, I'd say it's 60 times less.
Yeah, not to be a gatekeeper, but you're not you're not playing it properly unless you actually do play it in a single 24-hour session.
The reason I picked 24 Hours of Le Mans is because, especially in GT5, obviously the time actually changes.
Yeah.
So that's good. And it's one of the only races that makes you think about like efficiency of your like car. So
yeah,
if you get one of those LM prototypes where they've got like an EV system or a hybrid system, and like that gives you that advantage where like you don't have to pit in as much, but you're slightly slower, so like you make the laps back, and it's cool. Number 2.
Number 2, Schwarzwald League B.
Why?
Well, it is essentially the same as Schwarzwald League A, but it's a more extreme version of it, and it's taking it up a level, and it's generally more difficult and more challenging.
You never actually established why you like Schwarzwald League A. So you like German racing Germans.
I do. I mean, British cars are the best, but
You've not put the British Racing League in this.
Well, no, because I'm not just going to put an event in there if I like that nationality's cars. But generally, I found that the events I prefer do align with with or rather my taste in events do align with the events that also specify exclusively German or mostly German cars, and I'm not really sure why that is.
Well, my number 2 is, and you're not gonna like this answer. I can hear you writing in the comments section right now, but this is a cop-out answer.
Oh, please don't say it.
Online races.
Fuck.
So online race, right. So I did have some other fucking event earlier in the list.
Can I just say first, before you continue, the online races aren't accessible anymore.
Yes, that sucks, man. I loved the online races because of all the great. I'm just thinking of all the great memories. I'd enter just like, I'd go in the Japanese ones where they're all drifting.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'd show them how to drift, and they'd be all like shouting like Japanese symbols at me. A lot of people would just pick the most generic cars they'd just buy the most generic cars in the game. It's like they didn't care about half the other cars. And I just like, it was fun. And you remember me and you would do some racing.
Don't say it.
I'd always win.
I do have a lot of fond memories of our championships that we would hold.
Yeah, that was fun. Basically, online races were cool. I also liked. This isn't really the same thing, but the online leaderboards for the seasonal races were pretty cool. Where you'd be like, you just go to the top and see like Japanese players who like topped everything. You'd see in all the drifting ones that they'd either be driving the Buick Special or the Jay Leno tank car, just because they could spin the tyres, and spinning the tyres is what causes the ticker to go up on the drifting scoreboard. Yeah, so that's number 2. Number 1.
Yes, my number 1 is the European Championship.
Ah. Why?
Yeah. Well, it quite simply comes down to European sports cars being the best ones, and that the whole series is essentially just a celebration of them and driving them together and comparing them with each other. It essentially represents in a single event everything that is great about driving and having cars and driving them with each other and together, and there's just something about
only for
European
Europeans.
sports cars. Exactly, because European sports cars are the best ones.
Right. Okay.
In the world.
Number 1 for me. You ready? Right. You're never gonna guess this one. Well, okay, you've had it long enough. Come on, this video is already gonna be fucking like. I was hoping this would be like a 20 to 30 minute video. We've been recording for like an hour 40. Right. I'm gonna tell you. Roadster Cup. So
Really?
Roadster Cup, and this one's a great one for me because obviously the people at Polyphony Digital quite like the MX5 because they put probably about 20 of them, 20 variants of it in all of the games. But I obviously I don't know if you're aware of this. I mean, I guess you are to an extent, but my dad knows a guy who partakes in the actual Roadster Cup in the UK, which is called MX5 Championship or something like that.
I wasn't aware that it was based on a real event.
Well, it's based on. There are a number of MX5 racing series, and it just reminds me of that. It reminds me of the fond memories of going out there. There'd be 2 races a day. You wake up at like fucking 5 in the morning because you've got to get to the track, and the first race is at like 10 in the morning or 11 or something.
Yeah.
And then there'll be like a lunch break and then another race, and like someone will fucking completely fucking wreck their car in the first race, and then they'll be like trying to tape it back together for the next race.
I am a little disappointed with myself that I didn't guess that it would be this.
You could have actually guessed a number of them. I'm fairly sure there is a manufacturer race MX5 one in Gran Turismo 4. There's Spider and Roadster, which has MX5s in it, obviously. There's I think there's actually several other specific MX5 races in a number of the games. They obviously like the MX5 over there. I mean, it makes sense because it's like super popular sports car in general. But in the UK it is especially popular.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap the video up. Do you have anything, anything you want to plug?
The stuff I write on the wellredmage.com. That's red as in the colour. And that is pretty much all I'm doing at the moment. Since the beginning of the year, I've been writing about racing games every Tuesday, and I'm going to continue doing that until the end of the year, at which point I'll probably be taking a sabbatical period to work on something else.
That's it sounds like you're trying to be cryptic, but it's just turned out like you just don't know what you're doing.
Well, you know what it is.
I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Let's end the recording.